girls are more emotional. They're more affected by their emotions, and I guess guys are affected less.
They show their feelings more than guys do, I guess.
Men have no common sense.
They're more aggressive and they don't think as much before they act.
Girls are too emotional. That's one thing. Too emotional. There is a such thing, and guys are too cocky.
Girls rule. That's all I have to say. Girls rule the world. Without girls, there would be nothing.
Girls are smarter and just better in every way, basically.
What do you think?
I think boys are more athletic and they are smarter.
Boys are more like, we're really immature when it comes to things, and girls mature faster because we like action and stuff, I guess. And we like exciting things. So we tend to be risky.
I haven't met many great guys, I'm sorry to say. But you know, some of the guys that I have met, they treat their women pretty well. I mean, sometimes they act macho and stuff, but it happens.
How do you think girls treat boys?
Sometimes badly.
How so?
Well, I was with a girl for 3 years, and she broke my heart.
Girls can be kind of manipulative at times.
That's true, but other times we're nice, or sometimes we're a little submissive to what they say and do, I guess.
It depends on the person. I mean, you might get a girl that treats a guy perfectly normally, but you might get a girl that treats a guy like completely different.
I think we treat them better than they treat us.
Yeah,
I'd say the same.
And how do boys treat girls?
Like princesses. They should anyway. There's some rotten ones out there, but they're real ignorant sometimes. Think they can push you around.
Sometimes they treat them as just like objects, or just sometimes guys just use girls as to get what they want.
I think they treat us pretty good. It just depends on who they are.
Again, it depends on the guy. Some guys are real sweethearts, other guys can be jerks.
If he's a gentleman, he'll be chivalrous and hand her his jacket when she's cold, but other times they can be kind of rough.
Boys treat girls like it's a prized possession, you know, like we treat girls like they're up there and we're like down here, so I guess it's a good thing.
Other than the obvious physical characteristics, what is the difference between boys and girls?
Are all girls sensitive and emotional?
Are all boys loud and more willing to take risks?
Is there any real evidence in these claims, or are they just stereotypes that our society determines for us?
Boys versus girls, the battle of the sexes. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Beth.
And I'm Ian.
And this is Real Faith TV.
At the beginning of our show, we asked some teens on the street about the difference between boys and girls.
We'll talk with them again later and with our guests in the studio. But first, let's meet our spotlight guests, Josh and Hillary.
Let's find out what they think the differences are between boys and girls.
Boys and girls are different in the way they express themselves, the way they act when they're around their friends, and how they express emotion.
Boys and girls are different in a lot of ways. When it comes to schoolwork, I think girls sometimes try harder, but it also depends on the individual because some people are just harder workers. And when it comes to social terms, I think boys are more outgoing and loud, and girls are more shy. And
boys are often very mean to girls growing up, and they come to their senses later on, but they often think girls have cooties or something like that.
Boys treat girls pretty well, but girls take things to heart really easily, and they're really sensitive. So guys can be forward, and girls take it really personally. So to girls, it might seem like they're mean, but the guys are really actually being nice. It's also an individual thing, like how the person was brought up.
Girls are often a lot more nicer to boys than boys are to girls. I think that they have a lot more compassion growing up.
I think girls are nice to boys, but a lot of girls are mean, so they think that they're better than the boys, but most of them are pretty nice. And I think girls get a lot of pressure to be perfect physically, not like mentally or emotionally, just like have the latest clothes, most expensive clothes, like be pretty, have the perfect body, when that's not important really.
I think boys treat girls with a lot less respect than girls treat boys in most cases. Boys, a lot of them have just this mindset that they can do whatever they want, and I just don't agree with them at all.
One of the things Josh said that I really agree with, that I think is a big difference between boys and girls, is that we express ourselves differently. I really agree with him on that one. But let's meet our studio guests and see what they think.
They are Pat, Sarah, George, Kristen, Cora, and Megan.
So, in your opinion, what are some of the differences between girls and boys?
Honestly, I have to agree with Josh that girls are definitely a little bit more sensitive than guys.
I think that girls are just more willing to express their emotion because we don't have our society doesn't have the idea that women shouldn't express their emotions. They do, however, have the idea that men should be more masculine and not express their emotions.
I think a huge difference is the way that girls treat each other and guys treat each other. I often find for myself, I sometimes think that it's more fun to hang out with a group of guys because they can just, throw around a frisbee and just make jokes and, that's a
kick back.
Yeah, just kick back and relax. Where a lot of times girls, I feel as though they're either putting down other girls to make themselves feel better, or
gossip.
Yeah, it has to be gossip or something like that.
Us girls were high maintenance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, girls care more. Guys will just leave something and they won't care, and girls always have to have things neat and tidy and all that stuff.
Well, I know some people who are pretty messy and they're girls, but I think that girls are definitely more oriented with making things beautiful and everything from themselves to whatever.
And of course, I think it's important to remember that these are all just stereotypes or generalizations.
Each individual is different.
Yeah, exactly. Not all girls are one way, not all guys are one way.
And it's not always that guys can just talk to guys. I find it easier to talk to girls about things because if you're talking to guys, there's some points when a guy will get a little bit soft and maybe show a little bit of emotion, and when another guy sees that, he's always like, "What's wrong with you?"
It's not fully accepted like it normally would be with girls. Sensitivity among guys is okay, something's really wrong now.
It's different how girls and guys make friends. Guys meet friends all the time, just playing football or something. Yeah. And girls girls don't connect all the time totally guys do playing PlayStation or something.
I think in that matter it's harder for girls because guys might be more open, just toss a frisbee with some random guy. But it's all different depending on who you are.
I think girls, a little bit in my experience, are a little bit more cliquish than guys are.
Definitely.
I think guys are a little bit more a little carefree. Oh, cool, yeah. But the girls are very suspicious when you try to do
I think that comes hand in hand with, and again, this is a generalization, but I think a lot of girls are a little bit more self-conscious than guys are, and I think that has to do with making friends and having cliques, where sometimes I think girls can be a little bit more afraid to open themselves up.
Yeah, I think guys are just more comfortable.
I'm not even so sure about that though, because I've seen a lot of guys put down other guys to make themselves feel good, just to get a joke or something, so to make people laugh, they'll put down other guys.
True.
I find in guy circles where they're talking to other guys, there's less gossip, but if a guy's talking to me, I find that they'll often be gossiping just as much as if I was talking to one of my girlfriends.
Men have been known as the dominant sex, and throughout history, women have been treated differently.
It's only since the early 20th century that women have received the right to vote.
And in many cases, women have traditionally been paid less for the same exact job that a man does. But we've come a long way.
Okay, I'll admit that women have been discriminated against, but what about us? It hasn't always been easy for us men.
Oh, come on, Ian. When has a man ever been discriminated against because of his gender?
Well, in the workplace, a man is more likely to be accused of sexual harassment than a woman.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. It's a double standard.
Let's see what our teens on the street had to say about being discriminated against because of their gender.
Have you ever felt left out or discriminated against because of your sex?
No, not really.
Nah, never that. Never. Always fitting.
No, most of my friends are guys. I never really got along with girls, so usually it doesn't really matter to me.
Generally with parents, they're a little less strict with brothers and sisters.
Well, I have to do a lot more things. I have a brother. He gets to do a lot more than I ever get to do.
Sometimes when, say you go out to the mall and stuff, and there's all these girls, sometimes you feel it's kind of weird.
At certain moments in high school, yeah, I did. I felt that the guys got a break a lot of times, and I think that girls just got away with things because of a pretty face or something. But whereas a guy, it's who you knew, how tough you were,
Men get paid more in jobs too, and I think that's not right. when they have the same job, men get paid more. I don't like that. Yes, actually I have felt discriminated, but I feel that now, you know, things are going a lot better for girls. I mean, for instance, look at Oprah Winfrey. She's on the top.
Maybe like when we play sports, because a lot of them are dominated by guys.
Yes, in school, the sports, they discriminate us because we're not to play certain sports as boys do.
You know, I thought it was really interesting how some of them said that they felt like even their parents were discriminating differently between guys and girls, letting maybe the brother off the hook more than the daughter or a sister. But then it was kind of weird because they said in school it's like teachers are harder on the guys and girls get off the hook for like a pretty face.
Yeah, that really caught my attention because I don't think teachers should treat students differently based on their gender.
Yeah. Let's go back to our spotlight guests, Hillary and Josh, and see if they've ever been discriminated against because of their gender.
Well, a lot of times growing up in elementary schools, boys would be playing football games or soccer games or some game on the playground, and if a girl ever asked to play, she was just given the cold shoulder and told to go away because she was a girl and she wasn't good enough to play with the boys.
My friend who's a girl, she plays football, and the guys and girls were just saying kind of mean comments to her because she's a girl on a guy's football team. The boys make a lot fun of her. They just say comments like get off the team, like you're not good enough to be here, but she's actually really good. I don't really know why they would say that because it's just football. Like anybody should be able to do whatever sport they want, no matter like what gender they are.
I've done plays where it's been a lot of girls and they're always accepting, and through my music I've encountered girl groups and they're always accepting and work well together.
I think boys have more freedom than girls just because parents, I think that girls can get in more trouble or get taken advantage of, and boys have more freedom, and I think they also get away with more.
Girls, I think, feel more secure when they're in a bigger group than guys who don't really talk about emotions and all that other stuff. Girls, from what I get, they do that a lot. But yeah, guys, I think, just like to keep it to a simple group so they can know that they have a good friend that's always there for them.
I think times changed a lot since I'm raised and since my parents were raised. I think that it was when my parents were growing up, like the mom had to be a stay-at-home mom, and if she did work, it was either as like a secretary or a teacher, but now a woman can do pretty much any job she wants. She can become a lawyer, doctor, anything she wants. And a man, I think it's pretty much the same, but now men are starting to actually stay at home and take care of the kids more, and it's not just like they work, they spend time with their kids. I think God definitely intended men and women to be equal. I don't even think he sees them as men and women. He just sees everybody as a person, no matter gender, race. It doesn't really matter to him, I don't think at all.
It looks like the only examples they had were against girls, and it's interesting that they both had to do with sports.
Yeah, what can I say? Men rule! No, I'm only kidding. I agree with Hillary that God intended us to be equal, but different.
Yeah, our differences were meant to complement each other.
What's been your experience? Have you or anyone you've known before been discriminated against because of their gender?
Well, to throw one more sports example out there, at my school, we have girls that play on the ice hockey team, but then I knew a bunch of guys that wanted to join the field hockey team and they wouldn't let them. So I guess that's kind of a double standard.
Because, I mean, I go to your school, obviously. Yeah. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, that happened at my school too. A girl joined the football team. She actually did really well. She was the first girl in Mercer County to actually score a point in the football. But like when a couple guys were like, "Why can't we join like field hockey or something like that?" And they're like, "You just can't." It seems to be a little bit.
Yeah, I think it seems more normal for guys to play certain sports than girls, and it just feels more comfortable if they're with just guys or just girls.
My brother went to a hockey camp last week with a coach from Russia, and he lets girls audition for his really good team, but like he never accepts them, and when he does, he doesn't play them. He just lets them sit on the bench, and he lets all the guys play.
Also, another example of discrimination, I actually saw a study once that did tests and saw how teachers typically call on guys more than girls. There's actually statistics that back that up.
Yeah, I know that you said earlier that, or that they said earlier that it seems like the girls get away with more for some reason. I personally find that often, at least in my school, the guys actually get away with more. Because I don't know if it's because we have mostly female teachers or whatever, but I think that it really depends from place to place.
I think that I'm sorry, but I think that I would probably agree with you that the guys probably do get away with more, because I have a feeling that just because of our society and the way we're viewed as our gender stereotypically, that teachers and administrators expect more from the girls, and therefore when we do something wrong, they're a little bit harder on us.
I think that referencing the teachers calling on guys more than girls, I think a lot of that, though, in my experiences, a lot of the guys that they call on are some of the guys that don't really care too much, and they want to challenge them a little bit more. I think that girls in class situations tend to be a little bit more serious than guys, you know what I mean? And
yeah, they tend to sometimes give more thoughtful answers.
Yeah, and teachers want to challenge them.
Yeah, it's also during different subjects too. Like me, I like history, so during my history class, I like to give longer answers because I know more about that and I like to answer it more.
You see, in like my school, we don't really, I don't really see the discrimination in class. When we get to gym, I know the teachers expect a lot from the boys, but that's going right back to the sports, because I'm on the hockey and lacrosse teams, and we had to play against guys, and that was fine until everyone was like, the guys were playing not their best because they were like, oh, we're going against a bunch of girls. And I hate when they're like, yeah, we run faster and we do better, but when we get on the field, we're all equal. So it's not really like boys are faster.
Yeah, actually, now that you're saying that, it reminds me of, there's a gym teacher in my school who I think he's very, very sexist and discriminates against the girls. When we play basketball, he'll make the basket worth more points if a girl scores it than if a guy scores it. Or like, I remember this one time we were playing football and there was a group of us girls and he was like, now, are you guys really gonna play? Because if you're not gonna play, I'll just make you your own team and you can have your own game separate. Like, are you really gonna play? And we were like, yeah, we wanna play. Like, I love playing flag football in gym class. I think it's so much fun. So I took a lot of offense to that.
And in my school, in the weight room, like during the school day, the guys would be lifting weights, and then a girl would walk in, and they just completely ignore them. And they seem like it's their weight room, so then one of the teachers got really offended by that, a male teacher, and he set up a program. He's like, fine, if the guys don't want you in the gym, then there's gonna be a lot of time where no guys can come in, it's just girls' weight room. And the girls are really happy with that.
So what are some of the pressures that girls and boys face just because of their genders?
I think that guys in sports, I know we're always going back to this, but they feel the pressure to play a little bit better, because I think that guys by nature are a little bit more competitive. And I notice in my gym classes that some of the girls they're always just standing off to the side and they're talking. And yeah, I think that guys are a little bit more into what they do when it comes to sports.
True, and I think sometimes girls feel the pressure from other people to be more feminine, and I've had people even say to me before, like in a joking way, but like, oh, go make a sandwich, something like that. You know, that's just like it's just an ignorant comment that should never be said.
I agree with Ian. Like, boys always have to like feel buff and like they have to act tough and stuff, but
I think girls have a lot of competition though too. I don't think that they're less competitive.
Oh no, they're just competitive in a different way.
They're not competitive necessarily in a physically aggressive way. We're more in a mentally aggressive way, I find. You know, every girl wants to be the most popular, the most well-liked, or they want to be the prettiest, or, you know. I think girls feel a lot of pressure to try to be the very best in like all these other forms, not sports necessarily, but, you know, in looks and in schoolwork and stuff.
And I think that guys also have the pressure to act like they don't care, in a sense. Like, I mean, I'm sure guys feel just as much pressure as we do to be popular and have a lot of friends and wear the coolest clothes and whatnot. But at the same time, they also have the pressure of they can't let it show that they really care about all that stuff, because that's a feminine thing.
Especially with fashion or making sure you look nice. You know, guys that, you know, like to shop or something, I think they probably feel discriminated against.
We always have to feel a little bit more apathetic towards those kinds of things. Like, it just happens, you know, like, not really any thought to it. which in most cases it is, but sometimes there's a little thought,
Yeah. Hillary talked about how she thought that God sees us as equals.
Yeah, I can't really see God showing favoritism to any particular gender because he loves each of us the same. We're all his children.
And if you think about it, does a mother or a father love one of their children more simply because of their sex?
Parents love their children no matter what. Their love is unconditional.
Whether you're a boy or a girl, doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're a child of God.
Scripture tells us that God set out to make a suitable partner for the man,
taking a rib from his side and building it up into a woman.
The man recognized this woman as bone from my bones and flesh of my flesh.
Biologically, psychologically, and emotionally, women are complementary to men.
Only looking at the characteristics of men and women together can one appreciate what it means to be fully human, made in the divine image.
The complementary nature of man and woman was an intentional part of God's plan for creation.
We asked the teens on the street what they believed about God creating man and woman equally.
Let's see what they had to say.
Do you think God intended men and women to be equal?
I guess men were made to have a more prominent position in terms of leadership, but in terms of rights and stuff, I'm pretty sure they're meant to be equal.
They should all be equal.
Yeah, definitely, I think so.
Yeah, equal's a tough word. Yeah, I think that we're meant to be equal, but a different kind of an equal.
I just think that God created everybody to be equal. I don't think that, people should be split apart.
God has a purpose for each of us, and there are certain things that women are meant to do and certain things that men are meant to do. I don't think we're supposed to be equal in each respect. I think we're meant to complement each other, so guys may be better at one thing than another, and girls may be better at one thing.
I think it's really interesting how the majority of people said they think that it's important that men and women be equal, yet we're still treated so differently at times. It's kind of interesting to think about.
So, do you think God created men and women equally?
Absolutely, but I think that we're created equal but very different. There are some people who want everyone to be treated exactly the same, and to a degree they're right because there are certain rights that belong to everyone, but also we are psychologically and physically and emotionally different.
Yeah, we are equal but different, and God gives us all talents, and some of us strive to be better at sports or maybe something in school, but everyone is created equal, and then everyone has something they're good at, and everyone, it's always something different.
Yeah, it really matters what kind of role you take on, so to speak. So if you wanna be a soccer player, so to speak, then you're gonna be better than maybe someone who doesn't play soccer, and in that case, you're not equal. But the point is that God did create us all equal, and it's just a matter of what we happen to do with our lives.
When it comes to the core to it, I think we're all human, and we all want the same things, and we all have the same needs. We all want to be accepted. We all want to have love. We all want to feel safe, and those are the major things that I think that focus a lot and train a lot of our external actions and things that we do on the other hand, or what we do next,
That's true, so maybe we should look at us less as a guy or a girl, but as a human being or a person, and these are your attributes.
Well, what can we do, though, to embrace the differences that there are between men and women?
First of all, I think we need to accept them. Like some people they want to be women who want to make sure that they can prove that they can be physically stronger than a man or whatever, but we're not built for that, at least in my opinion. I think that by accepting our differences, we can embrace them.
We've got to kind of, with mental things, you can accept it, but you also have to kind of do it with your actions. And ways of doing that is just saying, usually we have the mentality that if a girl wants to try something that's not usually accepted, and a guy kind of mentality that they couldn't be able to do it, start saying no, let's just let them try. If they can't, they'll know they can't, but if they want to try, let them try,
And also, I think that we have the responsibility, if we do feel as though we're being treated differently, to say something.
Yeah, it's really important, because if you don't say something, then nobody's going to know how you're feeling, and they might not realize that they're treating you differently at all.
I think the major thing is that we have to embrace each other's differences. For the most part, we have to understand that we all have little minor differences, but essentially we're human, and that we have to embrace that and say, I can do this and you can, but you can do this and I can't, and have that complementary spirit. And it just adds to our humanity.
Yeah. And a good example of people complimenting each other is us on the show. There's a good mix of men and there's a good mix of women, and we each bring something different to the show, and it makes it better in the long run instead of having a whole couch full of men or a whole couch full of women.
Exactly.
I definitely agree. Scripture tells us that God created man in his image. In the divine image, he created them. Male and female, he created them.
Women and men are both made in the image of God.
So it's clear that they do not differ in dignity or in the degree to which they are loved by God.
Both share God's divine life through baptism.
Jesus had both men and women as his companions.
His message was for all people.
And St. Paul refers to both men and women as ministers of the church and co-workers in Christ Jesus.
This suggests that they do not differ in the ability to contribute to the mission.
What do you think? How are boys and girls different? We want to know.
Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or call us at 609-406-7402.
And one final thought. In Galatians chapter 3, it states, "Through faith you are children of God in Christ Jesus."
For all of you who are baptized into Christ have clothed yourself with Christ.
There is neither Jew nor Greek.
There is neither slave nor free person.
There is not male and female.
For you are all one in Christ Jesus.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.